push women completely out of women's sports. We've seen the toughest women in the world take on men who are amateurs and lose badly. We have a lot of athletes that are trans that would absolutely love to play in the WNBA. It don't make any sense. None whatsoever. Canadians decided that if a guy decides to identify as a woman, he doesn't have to remove his parts or anything like that. No, he can still maintain being a male, just, how do you say it, identifying as female. So this weightlifter up there, I mean, dude crushed the world record as a man, and then what does he do? He identified as a female so that he could make a point. What are women supposed to do in women's sports? You're supposed to applaud them, and yeah, that's not okay. Yeah, we want to push the women can do anything a man can do. That depends on the man, and that depends entirely on the woman as well. But when you're talking about somebody who's a trained fighter versus a rank amateur, or rather a complete novice, yeah, a woman can beat the shit out of a man. I have seen women beat the hell out of a man. And in every one of those cases, the man had to let her do it. And none of these women are getting the point about that. If a man really wants to fucking rough you up, he's just gonna do it. He will handle you like a fucking rag doll. Now me, I'm not a fighter. I never was. You know what I was good at? Taking an ass whooping. That was my one redeeming fucking trait growing up. I could take an ass whooping. When my older brother wanted me to take Dukes-Ryu Ninjutsu, you know why I took Dukes-Ryu Ninjutsu? Because he kept on smacking me in the stomach with bamboo sticks and telling me, you need to join ninjutsu. You gotta join ninjutsu. You're a pussy, man. I just got fucking sick of it. So I took Dukes-Ryu Ninjutsu. And no, it's not learning how to fucking assassinate people. It's learning how to, well, they do teach you how to kill people. I'll admit that much. But the point was to immobilize your opponent. Well, immobilize or kill is the way that they state it. And hence the learning how to kill people. My older brother Eric, he thought it was the coolest thing. But then, my number one goal in life is not to kill anyone, not even by accident. His number one goal in life is not to kill anyone, not even by accident. At least it used to be. I'm not interested in killing people. I am interested in showing inequality. When a man needs help, you tell him to do it himself. If a woman pretends that a man might do something, they will harm him greatly. When I see how women retaliate against men, it's usually by trying to pit another man against them. Oh, poor me, I'm just a girl. I created a bunch of drama. Now I'm in trouble because I was running my mouth and saying things that I knew to be untrue. But it's not just women. The men I know, they do that as well. It's not a male or female trait. It's a neurotypical trait. The by whatever means necessary thing. Now let's take a look at the WNBA. Let's say we phased out all of the naturally born women out of the WNBA. How much more action-packed would it be? And it would likely be a far more colorful crowd. One of the reasons men don't watch women's professional sports is because a lot of these people have wives and families. And if a guy watches something on TV with women on it, it's automatically assumed that he's being a pervert. If she's having an emotional day, it'll be construed as he is emotionally cheating, and he'll never hear the end of it. So I had one of my schoolmates during one of the, Olympics, right? And I'm trying to remember how he said it. Fuck. If I don't say it right, it's not gonna come out right. Anyway, what we're doing right now, this modern feminism and also modern inclusivity of LGBT, you know what? I don't run around with pins. None of my heterosexual friends run around with pins that say I'm a heterosexual. Does it matter? Does it really matter? Now, the same people who want to be angry and change the American English language, this is pretty much everybody. Getting offended is more important than actually doing your job, right? Nobody takes it seriously when it's a male. How true is that? It's not. It all depends on how you feel on that particular day. Sometimes he's useless. Sometimes you love him. This whole battle of the sexes thing is dumb. No, women don't belong in the kitchen. The best cook belongs in the kitchen. There's women that I know who literally don't know how to cook for themselves. Don't know how to cook for themselves. If it doesn't involve a microwave, they're not going to eat. If it doesn't involve fast food, they're not going to eat. if it doesn't involve someone else paying for their dinner. Where's the local McDonald's? Right? No, I'm not harping on women. I'm not harping on men. I'm telling you how it is. And if you're offended by it, that's on you. I told you the dynamics that I'm dealing with, and you wanted to pretend like I'm crazy. Right? How well did that work out? Pretending that I'm crazy. The things that I told you, the dynamics that I was working with. I even went to the professionals and they said the same things that I did. And yet you call me crazy. And of course, after being recorded saying that, they certainly don't want anybody to listen to the recordings. In a small town like this, or Chapel, Nebraska, which is even smaller, all you have is corruption. Everything in the town is decided on popularity. Who knows who and who likes who. Who's friends with who. Now it's become very popular to be trans. There's a lot of young boys out there, very impressionable, who are seeing what's going on. They want to make it in the world. They see how boys are treated here. They don't want to be treated like that. So what do? They make choices. Many of them are pressured into making certain choices. I know I often have. You try to explain to people, hey, what you're doing is illegal. And they try pushing you to do something that's illegal and don't tell you what the legal ramifications are. Try to keep you in the dark about everything. This is what it's like being a man. Do men deserve to dominate women's sports? Do people who identify as women, who are not naturally born women, who do have a decided advantage as far as peak sports, for most of us, we're not that different. When it comes to violence, what saves women the most is men holding back. When a woman is hitting you and you're not allowed to hit her back, that's what you've been taught. You just have to let her hit you. And girls are taught that they get to hit you once for free. And some of them do it more than once, don't they? They think it resets every 30 seconds, every 10 seconds, or every second. If a man pushes her away because she won't stop hitting him, he's somehow abhorrently evil for doing so. We get this girl power. Girls can do anything that boys can do except better. And then we see, when it comes to the sports, no. Not even close. Not anywhere close. Of course, I know a lot of women who are very into aesthetics and say things like, well, you know what? She still looks better doing it. All right. Well, isn't that superficial? The very thing that you complain to us about being? You're allowed to have preferences, but men are not. And then you assign preferences to all of us. How are we supposed to be able to take care of ourselves and function as human beings when we are treated substandard starting at birth, we're given a different gender role than you are. We're taught a different gender role than you are. I've seen many female cops start fights with boys, and the boys let the girl take them down. I've also seen what happens when a man is bound and determined to get away from a female police officer. In Boulder, Colorado, if he's of college age, he might be of peak physical conditioning. In that particular case, it's not just her gender preventing it. It's also the fact that she's wearing a badge. How many of those people that you see fighting with the police were actually fighting with the police? Police will look for any excuse to harm you because that's what they're taught and trained to do. They will lie to you. They will lie to the judges. They will lie to prosecutors. And when you're poor, and all of your chances of getting the body camera evidence that shows the truth is dependent upon you having a friend or family member go in with you so you can do it right, instead of being forced into homelessness and abused everywhere you go. I can't fucking take care of myself because of this abuse. But how many of my friends and family care about that? None. They want to hide their names. No, you don't get to do that. You were involved in the situation. You were also selfish. Now we've got trans people who, for equality reasons, need to be allowed to be in the women's section. We need to allow them in the women's bathroom. I like the way the Romans did it. Roman bathrooms, big bathrooms, open. There's a whole bunch of holes and a big long bench that goes all the way around the interior of the thing. And you sit down. You're wearing a toga. You pull up your toga. Nobody sees your goodies. You can cop a squat and drop a plop or two, you know? It's a good way of doing it. In Roman times, everyone wore dresses. But as far as sports goes, we don't have a universal Roman toilet. You know? That's something we don't have. If we take a woman in her peak physical condition and a man in his peak physical condition, and they're both well trained for the same thing, he is going to have a decided advantage in most cases. Now, height and weight does play a factor. It's more important than just about anything in some sports, not so important in others. But what we got going on here is all sorts of craziness. We got to change the English language. Scratch my noggin. One of my favorite things to do. We also have a lot of hate mongers. The people most for the Second Amendment right now aren't really for the First Amendment. I'm not sure if you noticed that. We shouldn't have political parties. Calling somebody a Republican, a Democrat, or a liberal is an insult, the same way that calling someone mentally ill is an insult. Maybe if you're a Democrat and somebody says Democrat, you're not going to take it as an insult. You're a Democrat. Well, how would you know? Based on one opinion? I've got lots of opinions, but my opinions are based on the information at hand. But I have telephone that attaches to the internet with lots of information. I can see that much of what's going on today that I hear women complaining about. This is what most of our opinions as men come from. The women in our lives warning us about other women. Women telling us things that, well, all the things that you want to tell us are sexist. Jamie Curtis used to tell me a lot of that sexist stuff about women. Telling me never to trust a woman. Telling me that's why she doesn't have any female friends, although her best friend was female, Jackie McKenzie. A woman might be able to do something more gracefully, in some people's opinions. But Jamie Curtis is never going to be a ballerina. Ever. She's incapable of it without some sort of mechanical assistance. That's not to say that no woman can be a ballerina. That's to say that we're not all the same. When we take a look at the statistics, which ones are you ignoring? Why are you ignoring how violent women have been towards men and women? Why do we ignore those statistics and try to place it all on men, even still to this day? Why do we have so many women who want to talk about women's suffrage? Or, well, how many of the women alive today were alive when it was illegal for women to vote? But if a woman harms you today, what are the chances that she's going to scream that at you and throw that in your face? One thing I noticed is that our educations are severely lacking. You notice we're getting the biggest bozos in office now. The stuff I've been telling you, when police officers say it, you'll take it seriously. Maybe. If my therapist says it, you might take it seriously. Maybe. But you're not going to take it seriously. It's only when it benefits you and reinforces your opinions. When you have something that you feel reinforces your opinion, you don't care if it's true or not, you want to grab it and use it. My friends and family ain't been so good to me. They like to do that. Most of y'all like to do that. That's what neurotypicals are all about. Competition. A lot of people want to rub in my face help that I did not get. There was 2 people that made GoFundMes supposedly for me. 3 people, actually, sorry. Right after Natalie was killed, and that money would have helped. But instead of that money getting to me, Instead, I had to deal with Candace Bondurant and Cara Rogers. Sorry, Cara Mia is what she was going by at the time. They were two of the ones that started the GoFundMe's, but the problem is that they were in charge of them, and they were both up to absolutely no good. They both had good intentions to begin with when they started those, absolutely. But see, here's the thing. Candace Bondurant figured that she would throw me under the bus when she was threatened and harassed by cops. And how many people did that to me? Or claimed, at least, that they were threatened and harassed by cops. They shouldn't have been harassing Candace. I was the one who made the 911 call there. Why didn't they come speak to me? Why did they come harass Candace? Or was that another one of them situations where it's either you do what Candace wants right when she wants it, or, of course, she shows what neurotypicals do. She lies. Candace Bondurant was involved with the situation with me, going all the way back to when Natalie first come into my life and became my friend. Because that was after I hurt my back. And Candace Bondurant was going to take me in and at least heal up for a couple of weeks. Well, when I got there, David and Laura Nelson had a vehicle. This is 2016. 2016. I was sleeping under a bridge in Boulder, Colorado, over by the Boulder Public Library, and it's called Pigeon Ship Bridge for a reason. I wasn't doing very well. My back was too messed up for me to travel. The only reason I was over behind Pigeon Ship Bridge was because one of the local homeless people saw kindly enough to carry my backpack there. Now, this is only because for a while there, I literally couldn't build a little cardboard fort to stay in. Like, if somebody didn't carry my backpack, I was screwed. Anyway, Candace Bondurant did take me in. That was after I lost Starbucks there over people not understanding. And I try to explain, but you know how it is. When you're a guy, you're not allowed to speak. It's against the rules. Now there's a lot of people who are being able to get a voice by being trans. If they're trans, the LGBT community might accept them and might not. It all depends on who it is. Me, I'm not a heterosexual. I'm not a bisexual. I'm not none of that. I'm a non-sexual. I'm not interested. Now, according to the LGBT community, I'm supposed to be included in that, but then none of the people that I know in the LGBT community would consider me that. They've already assigned and pigeonholed me. So I do the same to them, each individually as they do it to me. How does it feel? When the way that you have treated people your entire life is the exact way that you find offensive when people treat you that way. Keep in mind, I pay attention to my surroundings. I pay attention to the people in it. I don't want people getting beaten up. I don't want people getting shot. But I don't have a choice in what you people do or why you do it. But why you do it is your opinions. You make your decisions based on your opinions. And your opinions stink. We can't just change the English language to make all of you happy. You're offended by this description and that description. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I am ignorant of a lot of things. So are you. Is that so difficult to fess up to? With the trans athletes that we have already entering into women's sports, already shattering women's records, I think it's probably a good idea to allow women to have their own achievements. When we have to create comic characters that really have none of the redeeming characteristics of a comic character, oh, she was just born that way. Ah, all right. Just because a woman isn't as strong as a man on average doesn't mean that that's the case in every scenario. When it comes to your bias against men, that would entice many a people to go over and be trans. We don't want to be treated like this. You don't want no broke man. Well, guess what? I'm just trying to survive. But my life sucks. I haven't wanted to live for many years, and that's because of abuse. Because I'm different. Because I don't fit a particular mold of perfect, your idea of perfect. I am always going to be condemned. Now, how about if I throw on a wig and identify as a woman? We also have a lot of people who want to shoot themselves in the foot. How long is it going to be before every woman's record is broken by a trans woman? I don't think you're understanding where this equality thing is no longer a joke. Men are treated horribly in the United States, and women's achievements are taken from them. How many of you can name a female inventor? What did she invent? I can name a few. But this isn't about me, this is about you. It's about your active role and your active voice. Are you being heard? Are you trying to be heard? Or are you condemning other victims? Modern feminism is not about equality. It's about oppressing men. If a man is willing to conform enough to pretend to be a woman, then you might listen. You might not treat him as horribly as you treat men. And we've got, thank goodness, men showing that we got to stop the madness. You're offended by a word. You're offended because your ignorance. It's your ignorance. Let's ignore all scientific data. Let's ignore all of that, right? And we'll just go based on your intuition. That's not doing us too good. That's not serving us very well. When we're literally sent to the officers who harmed us to try to turn them in, yes, they retaliate against us. As men, we have to be afraid of that from women, too. If she gets busted doing something wrong, then we're the bad guy. We have a lot of trans people. A lot of trans people. Many of them are into sports. That doesn't mean all of them. But you can see how identifying as a woman has allowed men to go in and smash women's records just by identifying as trans to make a point. To make a point. All of the money here that is supposed to be spent to help at-risk and disabled adults is being used to pay for therapy and for jail. They don't want these resources going to people like me. I'm a male. I'm homeless. I'm disabled. If I go to the hospital, I'm automatically treated like a junkie. Same thing with the police. There's a lot of folks who needed help, and when they needed help, I helped them. A lot of people promised me help and then kept on changing the deal. It always ended up being they needed help. They needed me to do something. Sean, do this, and Sean, do that. Because I'm a male, and it is expected of me. Some of the women I know are of the opinion that sex fixes everything. But it doesn't. Sex doesn't fix anything. I've got real problems. No, sex is not going to fix that. And there absolutely are women who wanted to try to push that sex thing on me. Like that was a solution. Like Lanny Engline putting my hand on her boob. No, I don't want to do that. There are many women in my life who I helped to move out of fucked up situations who wanted to give me the socially appropriate trade. Like, there's no trade there. I'm doing it out of the kindness of my heart. We don't need to have sex. You don't need to offer sex. I'm not interested in sex. You give me this big old sob story. I'm not thinking about having sex with you. I'm thinking about getting you and your fucking kids safe. That's what men are taught from birth. We're all on our own, and it's all of our jobs to protect women and children. What that results in is us being victimized because men are automatically singled out, divided and conquered at birth. You are on your own. If you have a problem, you better have a mom who cares. You better have a sister who cares. You better have a wife who cares or a daughter who cares. You better have a grandmother who cares. Men are taught, hey, men, you're supposed to protect women and children. Women are taught, us girls got to stick together, and we're supposed to protect children. And more frequently, I am seeing children protecting their parents, protecting their grandparents. I also see American society trying to stuff any and all of the horrible things that women are doing at an equal rate as men, or surpassing in nearly every single instance. The only thing men lead in is paying the consequences. When a woman is smacking you with stuff and throwing objects that if they hit you in the head could kill you, she comes at you with a kitchen knife or a baseball bat, and you push her away, you're going to fucking jail, dude. Maybe even prison. When you become trans female in sports, that doesn't mean that every man is required to defend you and open the door for you and have sex with you. We've got a lot of women right now who are pushing the, if you pressure a woman to have sex with you, then it's rape. Well, is it the same thing the other way around? Does it come with the same set of consequences? The same length of time behind bars? We should allow women, we should allow them to have their heroes and to have their records. You want to change the definition of a word so that it fits your purposes. If it's not the right word, it's not the right word. If you're offended, it's nobody else's fault that you're offended. But you know what? Despite that, good on you. There's a lot of stuff that it's stupid to be offended by, but child molestation, if you're offended by that, good on you. If you think abuse against at-risk adults is wrong, good on you. Good. If you think rape is wrong, good. We know there's bad people out there, but it is not okay for you to treat every single man like he's a bad person. It's not okay to treat every homeless person like they're a bad person. Many of us, if we'd have gotten one-on-one help, it would have taken one person about 8 hours 8 hours of work overall to stop the BS with Natalie Bollinger. But no, look how many hours we're eating up. Look how many of your taxpayer dollars were wasted on victimizing the fuck out of me. Look how much of my money I had to spend. I am disabled, and I have to spend my money to travel from one place to another and maintain my vehicle. And you got simple fixes that cost money and time. Something we do not have when we're being forced to jump through hoops. Hundreds of appointments. You have no idea how many appointments I was set up for because I was assaulted by Officer Whale in Lolatai. How many different places I had to travel to with a bad back and try to carry all of my stuff. But you guys want to focus on trivial things. Oh no, you weren't born with the right parts. You've got the right parts to function as a human being, don't you? Can you pee? Can you poop? Can you eat? Can you breathe? Can you hear? Can we focus on human lives instead of on how you identify for once? I've been identifying as a lesbian since what, 2012? So, who cares? I'm not interested in men or women. I can identify however the hell I choose. Why do I say I identify as a lesbian? Because that kind of denotes that I'm not interested in anybody. And it kind of shows how absurd it really is. You identify however the hell you please. But don't be hateful on people who are actually being victimized because you are offended by a fucking word.